Hi, hello, welcome to another episode of Inner Monologues. So, what is today's topic? So, recently I've been doing a lot of street shopping, or I've been observing when I've been paying street vendors. Let's take your local pani puri wala, or it's just those plastic that they sell on the road, or any small businesses. All of them, when I'm paying them, it's a guy who's running this stall or the shop. But when I'm paying through UPI and you get the notification or you get that verification thing like payment confirmed, it'll be like payment done to Lakshmi, payment done to Hima, payment done to Jyoti, and all those things. It's always a female name, even though it's the guy who's running the business. So that's why I've kept the topic today as her UPI, his business. And what do I mean by that? So basically, it's like a curious thing that if you notice, millions of roadside stalls are there, tea shops, fruit carts, auto rickshaws. And when a normal customer like us scans the QR code, which is held by a man, but the payment lands in a woman's account. So I'm trying to explain today about the most visible symbol of digital commerce may stand an invisible network of wives, mothers and daughters quietly anchoring household finances. So it's always female, not always, let's say 75 to 80% of the time I say that. See, clearly the person giving me the fruit is a man, yet the money went into someone else's account. Strange, right? First it felt like coincidence. Then it happened again and again and again. Like it could be a fruit cart, flower stall, auto rickshaw. At the stationery shop that I always purchase in, I noticed it is actually going to a person named Jyoti and Lakshmi. So who are these women behind, the QR codes? India's digital payment revolution is often told through numbers. Billions of UPI transactions, millions of QR codes, world's largest real-time payment network. But numbers rarely tell stories. People do. And I remember seeing a reel recently on Instagram. Of course, reel to Instagram, yeah. So basically, in that, about the emotion behind names, the hidden secret love language of India about names. Like when people are starting businesses, they name it after their loved ones. Like, let's say, Lata Supermarket or anything like those. They name it after the people they love, their wife, their mothers, their sisters. Or, it could be another name, let's say, I don't know, anything, Jagadishan stores or something like that. It's after people they hold dear and close to the name, right? So using that name to understand the story behind this QR code. So it's women held bank accounts. What is the straight up answer about this now? I did a little bit of digging. Turns out there's a lot of schemes right now. The Union Nari Shakti scheme. It's about empowering women. So lesser, costs for them to take a loan, or it basically easy way to facilitate bank loans. There's something like Startup India Women Entrepreneurs Portal. So some people are trying to use that. It's under the account is under the woman's name, but the man runs it. So those kind of things are possible. There's like some Mahila Vikas scheme, Udyogini scheme, Mahila Samriddhi Yojana, and all of that. So basically, more than a standard savings account, most major banks provide a specialized current account which is tailored to women entrepreneurs. So basically, they waive off maintenance fees, or they don't. I wouldn't say they don't ask for collateral. They relax the collateral requirements, and they have a bundled forex or business management solutions and all of that. And what else was I found out was your credit cards and all of that. It makes it easier for them if the account is in the name of a woman, because there's a lot of advantage or schemes for women that's provided. But when you talk about money, finance, all of that, when it comes to mind, it is largely viewed as a male dominated field, or end of the day every field is male dominated. Even if you take gynecology, sometimes it's a male dominated field. So coming back, finance is largely viewed as a man's thing, like money, math, all of that is this thing. But I feel it has not always been that way. See, for generations, I feel, and I think I've observed that in movies or even the culture around us. See, movies are not just entertainment; those are gateways or time machines through which you can view the past. It depends on what kind of movies you're watching. If you've watched proper, art films or kind of something that is trying to mimic its environment, you take the 80s and 90s movies, you'll understand. Everything won't be exaggerated. Small details are the ones that are always going to be constant. So, millions of Indian women have handled household finances. It might not be very visible, not official, but practically. They knew how much rice was left, how much money was needed for school fees, how much could be saved this month. Many families trusted women to safeguard money long before smartphones existed. Then came all those bank account drives, financial inclusion schemes, and mobile payments. For many households, the first active bank account wasn't necessarily opened by the man running the business. Sometimes it was the woman's account, and when UPI arrived, that account became the digital doorway for the entire family. See, one aspect that one of my person who I spoke about this topic was some men, especially in the lower middle class or those kind of backgrounds who are coming into business or venturing out, they feel they might spend a lot. So if there's somebody who holds them accountable, is usually their wife, their mother or sister, so they keep it a bank account in the mother's name or the wife's name. Now some people say, another person told me that some people are they might waste of their money in gambling or alcohol. So one way to keep them under check is through the women's account. And another one is about the women's schemes. Some people take advantage of that and all of that. I even see things like I went a little more deep down. Like I was trying to read upon how what is the ancient practices of ancient Indian financial systems. Like how did women play a role in that? Like what was the influence of women in economic matters, rooted in cultural practices, legal frameworks, or all those kind of things. So I came across an article. I think it's written in, you can refer to the article. It was written by Professor Candida Allen Gomes. So, women's role in financial decisions making in ancient India. If you DM on Instagram, I would send you the link for the article. So basically, I read it there. So in Rig Veda, women are referred to as Grihini, or the mistress of the household, who is responsible for the family's wealth and ensuring its, utilization of the money. So that tells directly that the woman was involved in making financial decisions, making budgets, resource allocation, and savings. And the property ownership. During the Vedic period, texts such as Manusmriti, I don't know how valid the interpretation is, but women's property or Stridhan included gifts received at the time of the marriage. Any kind of personal earnings, inheritances, all of that was received at the time of marriage. This independent wealth gave women financial autonomy and the ability to make decisions regarding its use. That's one thing that I had read. And if you take royal women, they always had, power over finance. Like I think Satvavahana dynasty, there were queens who were known for issuing coins in their names, indicating their involvement in trade and economic matters. So coins with that imprints of that, so it clearly shows that it's been an active, they've been active role makers or decision makers related to state finance. Let's talk about philanthropy. Sudhamurti, she has also the money, she uses her money really well. Wealth redistribution into integral parts of the Indian society. That has happened long back before as well. Religious and cultural practices encouraged, charitable acts, and women often use their wealth to support temples, education institutions, and social welfare projects. Temple patronage, like during the Chola period, temple endowments were by women. During the Chola dynasty, women from rich families contributed to temple construction and its maintenance. I don't know if you've read about Ponniyin Selvan. So one of them, there's a queen called Sembiyan Mahadevi. She financed the construction of temples and ensured their upkeep through land endowments. So she was also, that shows that she was in charge of a lot of amount of money. That's like a thing, you can take it from that. And I'm not quoting Ponniyin Selvan as a source. She is an actual queen, and it was also mentioned in that article which I had mentioned. I remember, like, I connected it with Ponniyin Selvan because she's also a character in that. And let's talk about Arthashastra. In Arthashastra, women's involvement in charitable activities like providing for the poor or educational stuff, community project was also was highlighted. Like, they do that. So it is also written in the Arthashastra, which is a text on politics written by Kautilya or Chanakya. And what else can we think about when it comes to women in finance? It's, I don't know what to say more. There's a lot more things. But, where did this decline start? Where women stopped doing it? Oh, but before I go to decline, you see, most of the olden movies and all, when the husband comes back on the first of the month with the salary, he would give it to the mother if he's unmarried. And if he's a married person, he would give it to the wife. Because wife will take care of all of it. She was given the decision because she's handling the house. The man's job was just, at that time and that particular point of time in society, man's job was just to earn. The woman will take care of everything. The house, the groceries, any other essentials, the children's school fees or any other stuff. Or the husband will be given pocket money for his own spendings. Like, whichever he wanted to do. The decision lied in, with a woman. Most of the movies that you see or listen to people, it has been a very common thing. Women hiding their money in not hiding, like saving money is also a very important concept. During the demonetization, you must have read those seen those memes where it'll be like, now women have to get out all their savings to get, show their money and all to get the money notes exchanged. So that also showed how women are how well they think about saving, how important saving is to them. And classic example was when I read a story about Sudhamurthy, like how she knew the importance of saving money from a really young age. Like, she was taught about it, and she also had understood that. So through all the money that she had saved, that's how Infosys, the company, was built through her rainy days savings. You should definitely go read her book. DM, I'll tell you which book it is. I don't remember the name at the top of my tongue right now, top of my head or the tip of my tongue. So basically, in that book, she talks about how her husband Narayana Murthy needed money to start the company, and he could not avail that money, but she had, because she had saved, and she was able to support her husband. That's also talking about how the importance of money saving. She was taught by her mother, like her mother taught her. So if her mother had known it at that time, so obviously she must have heard it from someone else or observed someone else. So it's always been in the society. It's not something new. Women always knew about finance. It's not like we need some scheme, inclusion camp, therapy, or counseling or welfare programs to make people understand that women also know finance. It's always been a part. This is what is my understanding. And I think it's a very misconception that women are not good in math or anything, when it's always the women making day-to-day decisions. See, and coming back to the point of where did decline in status over time start? So, historical evidence, suggested that women's financial rights diminished during a later period of Indian history. For example, during the Gupta Empire, women enjoyed considerable economic rights. Later legal texts began emphasizing, some kind of a stricter control over their property and finances. And when there was foreign invasions like the Delhi Sultanate, the Mughals, and the feudal system was imposed, women financial independence was more restricted. So there was a decline in practices like stridhan, land ownership, and patriarchal norms became more deep. Like, it started becoming very deep. So I think foreign invasions and feudal systems kind of contributed to the erosion of economic independence of women. Economic empowerment is very important for women because financial independence is important for every individual and more important for women as well, because they should not be dependent on anybody else, for survival. How can we revive this, do you think? Maybe through campaigns or fostering a sense of pride, challenging stereotypes, women, talking more about women's role in economics. But I think it will ultimately contribute to gender equality, empowering women in financial decision making, and all of that. See, even though there are patriarchal constraints, the patriarchal constraints are going to limit autonomy, legal, and religious frameworks. But if you give them proper historical perspective and then well-defined economic rules and rights, I think we can revive it. See, empowering women economically is not merely a modern agenda, but it's a continuation of a legacy deeply rooted in India's cultural and historical heritage. Modern policies which are aimed at promoting, women's financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and property rights can draw from examples from ancient practices such as legal protections for women's wealth, or whichever dynasty has followed all of that. You can make all of, take example from all of that. And I think, even though it's really hard to admit, women's financial rights varied widely based on their caste and marital status, with widows and lower caste women facing greater restrictions. These societal structures, they ensured that women could manage wealth, but they were confined within boundaries set by traditions, family dynamics, patriarchy, this and that. There's a lot of things about that. Have I missed anything while covering about? Oh wait, talking about finance and women, we didn't talk about Hinduism. Hinduism, the goddess of wealth, is Lakshmi, and it's just symbolized for wealth, right? And so it basically reinforces a cultural acceptance of women's role in financial matters. I think such depictions provide for a religious basis, because a lot of things in this country, everything in this country requires a religious basis. I'm not arguing with whether it's right or wrong, but this is how it is. And have I missed anything? If I missed anything, I'll make a part 2. So, what do you think? Scrolling back, or going back to the QR code thing. See, technology is really funny sometimes. It tries to uncover things that nobody intended to highlight. See, QR code is designed to make payments easier. It quietly exposed how families actually function. Behind many small businesses is not one entrepreneur, it's a household, a network, a partnership. And sometimes the only clue is the name that flashes for a second after payment. Perhaps the interesting question isn't why is the account in her name? Maybe the better question is how many people contribute to an economy without being noticed. Every society has invisible workers, people whose labor supports system but rarely receive recognition. The woman behind the QR code might be one of them. Don't you think? There's another layer to the story also. Many women contribute to family businesses without ever standing at the counter. They sort the produce, they prepare the goods, they manage the inventory, handle all the suppliers, keep records. Yet customers often interact only with the person physically present. Does that make her work invisible? No. It's just a different story. The digital payments screen occasionally reveals what everyday life hides. It's a different name, a different story, a reminder that economic participation isn't always visible, isn't it? So, the next time you buy tea, vegetables, flowers, or take an auto ride, pay attention to the payment screen. You might notice a familiar pattern, a man's stall, a woman's name. And hidden in that tiny moment is a story about family, trust, work, money, and the quiet ways people build lives together. Sometimes the most interesting stories aren't found in headlines. They're hidden in plain sight, or perhaps in a QR code. Thank you so much. You've been listening to Inner Monologues. In this episode, you notice something you never thought about, share it with someone. And because sometimes a simple payment can reveal an entire story. And sometimes the most invisible people leave the clearest signatures. Thank you so much for listening.